Yes, people, welcome back. It has been a while, of course, hasn't it? It's been a couple of weeks now, and of course, I do realise that, but it is, of course, good to be back. Big up to everyone that's supported me in these last 2 weeks, actually, because I do want to obviously address, very unexpected break that I took, actually, these past few weeks, actually. I'm not going to go too much in detail, obviously. I've been really struggling, obviously, but it's been quite difficult last few weeks. But I took a break. Obviously, I didn't actually post anything on my social media or anything about it, of course. But yeah, obviously, just took a few weeks off. But obviously, I want to thank everyone, obviously, for reaching out, obviously, especially Orist from Orist Talks Football. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to Orist Talks Football. Great channel. I really do appreciate having the opportunity to be involved in that channel for sure. And Orist is a great guy. I've made a friend. Definitely, and obviously everyone else, obviously, special mention Mason. Tom, Manny as well, Matt. I mean, you know who you are. I really do appreciate people reaching out and making sure I'm okay, of course. It's been really sweet, and of course I've kind of got to know who you realise in those moments, don't you, who your true friends are, really, don't you? But anyway, I'm not going to waffle on about that now. I am back now. That's the main thing, of course. But I did want to kind of address that quickly. Obviously, the running order for today's show, I'm just going to take you through that now. Obviously, going to reflect on the games I've missed, overview of the games. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the games that we've missed, of course. But I still want to touch upon a few things. And obviously going on to the Millwall game, obviously, the review, massive winners, we know. That'll be the main part of the show. Before looking ahead to if we believe we can stay up. And a few other things towards the end of the show. But that's how it's going to work. So, but yeah, I am not alone, of course. I've got a guest on with me. He did come on the channel just after the Birmingham game, actually. Obviously, and he hadn't been on for a few videos after that. So I thought I'd get him back on again. And obviously, it's always good to have him on. But yeah, let's get him in now. Ben is here, waiting. Hello there, mate. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing? I can't wait to get this show started.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, and it's going to be a really good show, of course. And I do appreciate you coming on here. But yeah, we're just going to get into the comments. George is in. Hello there, George. Good evening to you. Yeah, thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate that. It's good to be back, of course. And Orest is in, of course. Yeah, like I say, he's just plugging my channel as always. Yeah, like I say, if you don't mind, like I say, smash the likes and subscribe. Really mean a lot to me. Ramsey, the legend has returned. Oh, Ramsey, don't flatter me, please. I'm going to blush in a minute, but thank you, Ramsey, for coming in as always. Hope you're well, mate. Thank you. And Jess is in as well. Big up, Rise. Have you back? Missed you. Oh, bless you, Jess. Thank you for coming back in as well. I hope you're doing well, and I really appreciate that message. And Blue Terry is in as well. Up the town, of course. Up the town, as always. But yeah, and I do, you could tell I haven't done this for a while. I just need to add my, there we are, right, with that. I'll get back into it, don't worry. I'll get back into it, because it has been a while, of course. But yeah, obviously, I want to reflect on the last few games, of course, that I've missed since I've been away prior to this Millwall game, before we get into the Millwall game. But obviously, I mean, I'll kind of start, and obviously, just kind of get your thoughts in a minute as well. I mean, overall, apart from the Birmingham game, and obviously this game, but prior to the Millwall game, we have been really poor, really underwater. And I just believe that, I kind of expected a bit more from him, if I'm honest with you. And I'll get into what I mean by that in a minute. And, after the last few results, against Coventry, obviously Bristol, West Brom, Norwich, I'd kind of given up hope, of staying up, me. And I think that you could sense that around the place as well, especially, in the recent home games as well. Obviously, you could sense that deflation within the crowd. especially the last few weeks, for sure. And, the thing is, there's kind of been a theme over these last few games in terms of, first of all, these teams these teams that we've come up against have not impressed me really, and they were there for the taking. And I just think it just proves what we're up against in this championship, because anybody can beat anybody and nobody is unbeatable. No matter where you are in the league, whether you're up at the top, whether you're down near the bottom, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about that, because anybody can beat anyone. But so first of all, too many costly mistakes is my first point I want to make, because you look at the Coventry game. I'm just going back a few. I don't want to revisit this too much, but the mistake by Healy, you just can't afford to do it at this level. And I said on my preview, if you give Gyökeres a chance, he will score it. And I do believe he will be in the Premier League next year, by the way, because he's that good. But if you gift him a chance, he will take it. And Healy, obviously, he did that. And, we were never getting back into that game once, obviously, we went 1-0 down. Second point, I just don't feel like we've imposed ourselves on the matches, really, and give it a good go. I've come away from many games, the past few games, and I think to myself, did we really lay everything on the line there? Did we actually really give it a good go here? And I can tell you, the answer is no. And that is disappointing. Third point I want to make is that there's been no attacking threat, and even the Norwich game where we picked up a point, we still, we didn't even have a shot on target out of the game. The own goal, obviously, we couldn't even score. We had to rely on an own goal to score in that game. Again, poor. Poor goals conceded, number 4. Just such poor. These people, you've got to stick with your runners. It's the basics, and we just haven't done that in the past. So poor goals conceded. It's like people watching, not marking the men, and it's just unforgivable, really. 5, my 5th point is not showing any fight. 6, lack of urgency, no urgency whatsoever, no direction and nothing. And this is what I'm going to say. Obviously, I did refer about Neil Warnock earlier, and he has. For me, he's made his substitutions far too late in previous games. If I'm being honest, we've been crying out for substitutions, earlier on in the game, and he waits until the 82nd minute to make substitution, and it's just too late. And that's when we've been chasing the game, or we've been drawing, or wanting something to maybe get as a goal, try and get as a goal. But and my final point before I hand over to you and get your thoughts on this is the referees. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna blame the referees. I promise, I'm not.
No, we do.
I'm not gonna blame the referees.
We do blame the referees.
But they have a real agenda against us, and the EFL do as well, by the way. So I'm sorry, that is just clear to see. But I mean, Ben, I don't know what you want to kind of. Obviously, you've heard me rambling on for a few minutes now, but what's your take on what I said? And obviously, what have you made of these past few matches? Let's forget about the Millwall game, but I'm on about before that, obviously, the games that we've missed.
Yeah, I mean, look at the games you've had. We knew they weren't going to be easy at the end of the day, and I just feel like we could have given a bit more fight, especially against teams like Norwich and Bristol. Then I know we got a point, but we could have easily taken away 3 if they just give a little bit of heart, like they did against Birmingham and stuff. I think since the Birmingham game, they've got the heads too high over their head, it's just gone down. But I completely agree with the refs, and I think, as much as we do blame the refs, the refs are appalling. Something needs changing in EFL. They should bring in refs from other regions, across the whole world, I think, to make it fairer. Because otherwise, it's just going to be refs picking the favourites like they have been doing and just always going against us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been so demoralising. Like I say, we only have to look at, just briefly now. The Bristol game, I mean, it's just poor. I'm not about the referees now, I'm on about our game. That game was there for the take. They were poor, Bristol. And to be honest with you, the teams that I've mentioned, I go back to it. You can look at the opponents all you want and where they are in the league. But I didn't see anything in Coventry, Bristol, West Brom, Norwich that we should have been scared of at all, because they just didn't impress me. These teams did not impress me, and they are higher up than us. Especially Norwich, obviously pushing for the play. I can't fathom why they're actually there in the first place. And no disrespect to Norwich, but West Brom, obviously we've seen them drop off recently. So, the West Brom game. I mean, I'm going to talk about this West Brom game in a minute. That game just epitomised what is going on at the moment, because they weren't that great, but again, we are a stupid penalty to give away. And apart from that, West Brom didn't do anything in that game, to be honest with you.
Nothing threatening there at all.
No, so that's what I mean. It's just so frustrating that these teams. We can talk about the opponents all we want, but we've got to do our job, and we've got to focus on ourselves. And I go back to it. No matter whether you're second in the league or you're 18th in the league, it doesn't matter in the Championship. That's what I believe, because we've seen it that teams just. You could just tell, this season's been crazy, really, because if you look at the league table, there's not that many points in it between, maybe 7th place to mid-table. So it's just the fine margins, and I think that's what's kind of happening. We're going to get into the comments in a minute whilst I forget, because we've got loads here, guys. You're flooding them in here. Macaulay's here. Hello there, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm all right, thank you. I hope you're doing well. Big up to you. And keep them vlogs coming. Like I said, I love your vlogs.
His vlogs are wicked, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
When you sit down after a game, you just, instead of waiting for the highlights, I'll wait for his vlogs to come out, because he's just class. Class when he does them.
Yeah, big up. Make sure you go and subscribe, people, if you haven't already, to his channel. Great content. Of course, I had the pleasure of meeting him the other day, and of course at this football, and it was nice to finally meet him. And of course, I'm sure we'll bump into each other in the near future. But big up to you. Daniel's in. Hello there, mate. Hello. I hope you're doing well. Honestly, now we've got really hope it makes the administration point deduction decision a bit more difficult, which we'll get in 20 minutes. Yeah, don't worry. But yeah, good point there, by the way. Orest, yeah, big up to you. Yeah, I'm not sure about the king. I'm not the king. No, but please, you're flattering me, people. I really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you for all the love and support in this chat at the moment. And hello there, Josh. I hope you're doing well, mate. Again, another fantastic YouTuber, an Arsenal fan, and does great content on his channel. So head over there and show your support to True Gooner. Definitely so. True Reds in. Hi, Ryan. Unexpected win. Didn't see that one coming. Do you think now the interest rate has come at the wrong... I will answer that question very soon, and I promise you, because that is in my notes. So I will answer that question. So hold that. I'll answer it in a minute, in a bit. Hello there, Adabel. Good evening to you. DJ Sinclair. Hello there, Ollie. Hope you're doing well, mate. Oh my goodness, these are so many comments. Can we talk about administration and potential? Yes, we can. We will cover that. You've added another topic to my list. We'll do that for you, Blue Terrier. And of course, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that later on. That was a brilliant game for us. We were a better team that game. Definitely. Get the likes up. Yeah, get the likes up if you are in this stream at the moment. Like I say, big up Torres. Subscribe if you are new. Matthew's in the building. Hello there, Matthew. Big up to you. Yeah, get your thoughts. Yeah, like I say, get your thoughts down below. Like I say, your comments, your feedback. I want to, you are involved in this chat, of course. Love to hear from you there. Yeah, welcome back, mate, and what an amazing win. Yeah, definitely so. Very tough game against Middlesbrough after this international break is done. First game, everyone be expecting a Middlesbrough win there. The True Red says, I mean, look,
you never.
I don't really care what people are saying, because I go back to it. Nobody gave us a chance against Millwall, and look what happened. And we are at home against Middlesbrough. They are not. They are doing very well. I'm not going to take anything away from them, but they are not unbeatable. So we have to just, we just have to see. On the point of refs, do you think VAR should be in all league in
No,
the EFL leagues? I know it's gone
no,
against the past, but over the course of the season, it could be useful. Say
no,
you say
no.
no. Why
The,
do you say no then? What's your reason behind that? Because it is a controversial topic and it is very much a mixed bag in terms of what people actually think about VAR, isn't it?
honestly, like, it doesn't matter what league you're in. They just hate Yorkshire clubs. The
Yeah,
VAR, the Premier League refs, the EFL refs, they all hate Yorkshire clubs. And it's just shocking. Like, why are you biased to one area of the UK? If you're gonna do that, do London, because London's got the most clubs. Or because you see, they always, and in the Premier League, they always go for the big six. Penalty goes against an opposition, and the big six, they don't get it. And if especially if it's a clear penalty, they still don't give it. It's just shocking.
yeah, I get that, and I do hear you there because I've got to agree with you, to be honest with you, Ben, because I just think that there's so much bias. No matter whether it's the EFL or the Premier League, there will always be bias. I believe VAR is biased towards the bigger clubs. And biased, the smaller clubs get nothing, the bigger clubs get a lot more. So technology on, I don't want to see it in the EFL because I just think still it's very much incompetent. It's too slow. Decisions are being made too slow. You see that it's like when there's a clear, it's like when there's obviously a goal, obviously, and then there's potential offside kind of ruling. Why does it take, if it's way offside, why does it take so long to decide that it's offside? It's just awful. So it's the people that are running it that are awful as well. And yeah, there's a lot of bias. So yeah, I would not like to see it in the EFL at all. No chance. Where would the Millwall towel? I don't know. I have no idea. But I love
In
the
the washing
banter.
machine.
Yeah. But yeah, that was funny once when they, oh gosh, yeah, I remember that actually. Remember that game. Yeah, Oris says Neil wants Barmy absolutely. Let's go and bring winning ways back after the, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I want to obviously go on to obviously my point that I made earlier about Neil Warnock, and of course, of what I said earlier about I did expect a bit more from him, and when I say that, I just mean, like I say, the time of the substitutions have been very poor, in my opinion, in recent times. When you've been crying out for somebody to come on, the selections, the team selections have been very questionable for me at times as well. And people are probably going to say to me, "Who am I to disagree with Neil Warnock?" But as a fan, we all are still able to have an opinion, no matter what Neil Warnock's done. He shouldn't be devoid of criticism because of what he's done. And that's not to say that, we've got to trust him, of course, and we've got to back him, and we've got to, got to believe that he can get us out of this. But it doesn't mean, because of what he's done in his career, that he shouldn't be criticised for what he's done. And I just think that sometimes it's like the fact that he's been leaving out Humbo the last few games. I think Humbo has been great since he's coming, and obviously getting that goal, obviously on his first game, Neil Warnock, obviously that beautiful goal that we all remember still to this day, of course. But he's been unfair the last few games. I look at certain aspects of the team. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't like singling out players. I really don't. But the likes of Waghorn, I have no idea what he offers to this side. I don't. I think he's the worst footballer I've seen, actually. He's awful. But he continues to pick him. Rhodes isn't even getting in the 18 at times. He saw it on Saturday. I didn't understand why Rhodes wasn't on the bench against Millwall. He scores goals. He scored goals this season in a very struggling side.
He's the top scorer for us, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And he just doesn't seem to be favoured. So, yeah, it's one of those. And I do want to just go back to my notes here because I've got a few of things. We've got to comment on what we see. And Neil Warnock, for me, has made the late substitutions. It's just not good enough for it. And, barring the Birmingham game, and obviously this game is Millwall, I didn't really expect Warnock's side to look like it has most of the time since he's come in. I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, I don't know, because from what I mean is, in terms of, I didn't expect Warnock's side to look like this in terms of, I expect a lot of effort. I expect a lot of fighting for one another and things like that. We just haven't seen that the most of these last few games, have we? So, what do you make of that, and what do you make of Neil Warnock since he's come in?
Like obviously he's under a lot of pressure at the end of the day, so we can't obviously expect too much. Like we can, but it's like you're asking for a bit much, especially because the pressure is under getting us out of a relegation battle, of course. But it's the player choices in the starting 11, which it's just appalling. Rhodes should minimum be on the bench. Hungbo should be starting nearly every game, in my opinion, because of the chances that he creates. And obviously, I know we've got injuries, but there's always players to back them up.
Yeah.
We haven't got a big squad, but we've got a big enough squad to fill the gaps at the end of the day, and he's not using it.
Yeah, absolutely. So all this nonsense that we can't criticize what the decisions he makes sometimes is it's just rubbish, because we have to. I have to be honest with myself, and I have to say what I feel. So yeah, and I think that another thing that's really annoying me, and moving on from one now, obviously the fans. I mean, come on, we can't blame this big slump this season all on quality. And the players aren't confident in all this because I'm sorry, I don't agree. Because if you look at some teams, that have been successful, they haven't necessarily had the best quality, but that's when you've kind of got to, put in them extra yards and work hard for one another, and we simply haven't done that. And for the record, I'm not standing up for them on the board because I do not back anybody on that board. Trust me on that one. Put it out there right now. They should have sorted the recruitment out a lot better than they have done. What I'm saying to you is that, these players, have to put the hard yards in and fight for one another and work hard for one another. And we haven't seen it. We just haven't seen it for the majority of this season, I'm afraid. So. Yeah, I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, I just hate it when I go on social media and I see that town fans are saying, "Oh, it's the quality, oh, it's rubbish for me," because I just believe that you've got to, the most successful sides aren't necessarily the ones full of quality. It's the ones that work extra. You've got to put the extra yards in if you haven't got the quality, and these players
100%.
don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think, I think we can take this back to the playoff final. Ever since that, I think they've just lost like motivation. It's hit them hard. It's like, oh, like we actually lost. It's like because obviously they worked really hard to get from obviously where they were the season before with Cobra and to where they were last season, and it's just especially with the unbeaten streak that we had as well, it must have just killed them completely, and it's just evident to see that they've just lost all heart and determination from him now. It's just sad to see that League One is potentially on the cards.
Yeah, it is. It really is. From where we're, on the brink of the Premier League to this, and again, I put a big finger towards the board at this one, I'm afraid. And the decision making has been shocking. As we know with the managers, the way they're running the club, it's like a circus down there. It really is, and it's just a joke. We will get into the ownership and we'll get into obviously all the issues around the club at the moment, of course, later on. But yeah, it's just unforgivable. This, it really is. Blue Terrace, it's similar to Dean Hall with some of our hands, just because he was a good owner doesn't excuse the club is being run. Not yeah, absolutely. This narrative of Dean all this, Dean all that, Dean all did this for us. Yes, he did. He has done a lot for us. I'm not saying he hasn't, but we're in the present, and what he has done this season, and I believe that is that this season, he's ruined his legacy in he has, because he's gone back on his word. If you look at, you only have to look at when we brought in Phil Hodgson. If you remember, for that appointment, he said that he would sell to the right person, owner, whatever you want to call him. He didn't. He knew that Phil Hodgson, it was just because he was his best mate. He knew that he wouldn't be. He knew that he wasn't the long-term solution to Huddersfield Town, and of course he wasn't naive enough to take away all control in terms of he still wanted a bit of percentage of them shares, probably because Phil Hodgson couldn't afford it. But that's not the point. If you can't afford to run a football club, you shouldn't be in there. So, and then decisions, no communicate. The communication has been shocking from the board. Dean Hoyle has let us down massively, I'm afraid. And since the Premier League, I go back to since we got to the Premier League, we know we haven't really spent money as a football club, for as long as I've been supporting Town, obviously. But since we got to the Premier League, he's been able to make all of his money back, and that's when we've seen less and less money being spent, and that's the reality. And it's for me, Dean Hall has not covered himself in glory one bit. And I hate the narrative that he should be protected because of what he's done in the past. I don't agree with it. So that's my viewpoint on it anyway. But yeah.
I completely
do you agree
with
that, or do you want to counter that? I mean, obviously, this comment by Blue Terry, obviously, it's a valid one, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, you can't fault what he's done. He was there when he was at the Premier League. He's done a lot. But I think the investment since we've got in the Premier League, don't get me wrong, we've had some good players come in, with the likes of Mounier and Moy and whatnot. But I just feel like there could have been a bit more of like a fight. That we was predicted to go down heavily in the first season. Like everyone was completely against us, and we turned it around. Second season, they're like, oh no, it's their time to go down. They showed no heart. The board just they just thought, oh, we've had a good year, we've stayed up more than we expected, and now it's just like, what do we do now? And then when we've gone down, it's just been a shambles, apart from last season.
Yeah, absolutely, it has, and it's just like I said, I go back to it. Dean Hoyle has put trust in other people in terms of people that are on the board, Lee Bromby, that and all these people that he's trusted. They've let him down massively. He has to take some accountability for that, I'm afraid. And like I said, Bromby shouldn't even be in a role like that anyway, because he's never done it in his life. So yeah, I mean, we'll get into it in a bit more detail in a bit anyway. With of course the potential new owner. We'll look forward to maybe the new owners coming in. The True Red says, resting the Premier League do my head in with the top 6 bias. Never really felt League 1 or 2 game on unless in just like non-league. There isn't any unless the FA Cup match with a big 6. Yeah, I mean, true. I get that. There is a lot of bias. And that's what I hate. And that's why I say the VAR will make no difference to the EFL, because you'll just see the same agendas that we are seeing at the moment with decisions going, against us. Let's just say. I can't. By the way, I'm just going to put that out there. I can't remember the last time we had a penalty, but I'm just saying. But yeah,
we've had one all season.
No, but having said that, we haven't really set out to it. We haven't really had the opportunity to actually be in our, in the penalty area. Let's be honest. But
I mean, the one against Bristol, that's debatable.
Yes. We should have at least had 1 or 2 penalties for sure, despite our negative tactics at times this season. John, good evening to you. Warnock will always favour hard-working players, and likes of Wagon will always get in over it. I mean, I wouldn't say Rhodes isn't hard-working, John. I think Rhodes is hard-working, actually, and actually he does. And I just think that he offers a lot more than Waghorn does in all aspects of his game. And look, when you've got somebody up front that, no disrespect, in Waghorn, who has not scored many goals throughout his career, and he's meant to be a striker. And he's at that age now where you would think that he would have accumulated quite a number of goals being in that position, but he hasn't. So I don't agree that Rhodes isn't hard working, if that's what you're trying to say, John. In my opinion, I think Rhodes is, to be honest with you. So yeah, I don't know what Warnock doesn't like about Rhodes. I'm sorry, I don't get it.
He favours Ward over him, doesn't he? Because he's played with Ward at Middlesbrough. That's probably what it is.
Well, yeah, he does. He puts a lot of trust in Wardy, of course, and we will get into that. But And so yeah, he does. He does favour him definitely. But what Rose must be thinking though, to be honest with you,
I'll be fuming if I were him.
if you're left out of it, not even on the bench.
Yeah,
I just think it's shocking me. I do. I just think it's shocking. I'm sorry, but you've got the likes of Simpson, who, don't get me wrong, has looked okay, and I'm saying okay when he's come on in games, but he doesn't seem to be able to start games. He doesn't seem to be able to last more than 10 minutes, which I think is shocking. So
he's a big lad, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But to me, when you've got him over Rhodes on the bench, I think there's got to be questions asked to me. I don't get it. Rhodes would be a good player for the bench, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's. To be honest with you, I'd like to see him utilised a bit more, to be honest with you. I know what you're saying. I think he's at that age now where he can't play every single game, especially with this relentless schedule in the EFL. But I would like to see him start a few games and sometimes be on the bench, but utilise that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. He's a good player for the bench, if not. How confident are you? How confident are you now that we'll get into that? That is my last topic on this discussion. And so we will answer that question, I promise you, at the end of the show. So you'll just have to wait and see what I say about that later on. But yeah, Ramsey's player final hurts even more than it did at the time now. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I agree with you, Ramsey. It does. It really does hurt. That's being so close to the Premier League to this. It just hurts that bit more. I didn't think I'd be saying that actually because, it really hurt that playoff final at the time anyway, and then for a number of weeks, months after that actually. But yeah, now we're looking at it now, it does hurt that little bit more somehow. So yeah, I agree with that. I'm hoping Rennie Nielsen is actually interested in buying. I'm not going to give my thoughts away yet. We're going to cover the owners and obviously the new owners potentially coming in later on. But yeah, I'll get into that. Adabel says the Waghorn fan is back. Yeah, you love Waghorn, don't you, Adabel? And like I said, I don't. Whenever I say things, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not being disrespectful towards players, but I'm sorry, but Waghorn, I don't particularly understand what he brings to the team. He doesn't jump half the time. He doesn't. I don't know. He just hasn't got the quality, I'm afraid. I mean, you could say that throughout the team, but he just hasn't got anything about. He doesn't do much in games for me. He doesn't. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, overspent on the wrong players in the Premier League, especially in this. Yes, we did. Well, remember that. Yeah, and expected Wagner to work miracles. Agreed. If spent properly in the right areas when we were there, we could. Yeah, absolutely. But again, I go back to it. It's all right us, saying these things, but the people in charge have not done their jobs. And I know it's easy to criticise, and of course, it is. But it's unforgivable. If you look at the recruitment in that second season, like you say, the likes of Diakabe, I mean, terrible football. I mean, I don't understand. So, yeah, it's shocking. We've been let down over a number of years, actually, not just this past season. Let's be honest about that. So, yeah. Loads of comments, and we will get into the Millwall preview in a minute, by the way. I've spoken about the games anyway that I wanted to, that we missed. That penalty shot against Millwall, yeah, we're going to get into that. Absolutely, Blue Terrier. That was a stonewall penalty, and I'm not being biased. It was a penalty.
Any football fan can see that.
Pardon?
Any football fan apart from Millwall fans can say that.
But you know what it is, and I'm going to say it because I'm just urging to say this. You know why the referee didn't give it? Because that culture around Millwall. It's a horrible football club, by the way. They're too scared to make decisions in these stadiums that they feel intimidated by, and that's the issue. So yeah, anyway, that's what I wanted to say. But yeah,
it is true though.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Too intimidated to make decisions in these hostile environments that you go into. Not good enough. Hello there, Tom. Good evening to you. Joseph's in the building. Hello there. I hope you're doing well, mate. Aiden's in. Hello there. You don't need to apologise for being late. I appreciate you being here. right now. So don't worry about being late. Nothing to say apart from what I win up the time. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Brilliant win. Yeah, please give this video a like if you haven't already. Yeah, like I say, it does help. If you could just hit the like button for sure. Waghorn is a waste of money, Aiden says. You see, I'm not alone. He has been a complete waste of money. I agree. Need to play Simpson more blue. I mean, to be honest with you, we do, but again, I go back to it. I don't think he can't play more than 10 minutes, so he can't play more. So yeah, it's I don't know. Waghorn will run until he drops, which one will. Yeah, but yeah, I understand what you're saying, John. I do understand what you're saying, but I go back to it. Rhodes runs himself down to the ground as well, and trust me, when I've seen Rhodes on that field, he is given 110% on that field, so he does run himself down to the ground too. But the only difference is Rhodes wins headers, Rhodes links up play, Rhodes can do things. Waghorn he just doesn't do any of the things that Rhodes can actually do. So yeah. Good evening, not in the best way. Yeah, I hope you're doing well. Like I say, sorry to hear that, but yeah, we keep ploughing on, as we say, and like I say, I'm always here for you as well. Don't worry about that. Last season, Gloriton, now it's embarrassing. Yes, it is. It really is embarrassing. We're a laughing stock. But anyway, we have got into the show, obviously, loads of comments here. I do appreciate everybody coming back and supporting me here. But yeah, obviously, we're going to get into the main part of the show. The Millwall game, the Millwall. We were all fearing the worst. I don't know about you, but I was kind of fearing that we were. I didn't expect us to get anything from this game. I don't think anybody did, to be honest with you. But we defied the odds and give ourselves a big boost in the process. I mean, just first before we get into the game, how was you feeling ahead of this game against Millwall? Was you kind of fearing the worst a little from what you've seen in the past, or how was you feeling going into it?
The same as usual. Like, you know what? I'll be honest. Like, I did expect us to lose. Like, I've just lost all hope at this point. Like, it's just got to a point where week in, week out, it's just dry performances and just no heart, no effort. Like, if I can guarantee if I was on that pitch, I'd be giving 110%, and that's what the players need to be doing. They get paid big money, and it's like they just sit round, and it's just like they're having a kickabout in a tennis court or something. Like, it's literally what it's like. It's not professional football what we're watching week out. It's non-league. It's gotten to the point where it's just really dry and it's not entertaining. And you can see as well from the ground how when Neil Warnock first came in, the stadium was absolutely bouncing. Now it's just a standstill, and it's just horrible to see, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Players running through the motions, players walking, players not tracking back, players not doing enough, and there's nowhere near enough. And that's where the players are going to take some responsibility and actually, and this is another annoyance I have, by the way. Before we will be going into the review of this game in a minute, but another annoyance I have is these pathetic interviews that we have after games and stuff. With players coming out, managers saying this stuff. I've got to a point. Well, I had done. I've got to a point where I don't care what anybody has to say anymore. You've got to show the action on the pitch. The players, especially that are coming out and saying, "Oh, we're all disappointed in the dressing room." Well, show it. Show it on the field then. If you're that disappointed and you're that, upset or whatever you want to say about the situation, do more than what you're doing on that field. Because I tell you now, we have been way below standard in terms of effort levels and giving it a good go, fighting for one another, working hard. It's just not there. There's no hunger or desire in this team. Like I said, I go back to it. So, yeah, I agree. And obviously, I echo the thoughts about the last home game. It was probably the what was it? Yeah. There was so many empty seats around me. Trust me, and the thoughts and so on. I don't blame them.
Even the cow shed was quite low.
Yeah, and you can say, "Oh, you've got to stick with them." You've got to stick with the player. I agree. You've got to stick with the team, no matter whether we're doing bad. But the problem is I get where people come from, because people will not come and spend and waste their money, especially in these times when you've got players walking around the field not doing anything. He's saying the same old rubbish every week. It's just like anything. Football shouldn't be any different to anything that you do in life in terms of if you're not getting the result, if you're not getting the enjoyment out of doing something. You're not going to keep going back. So why is football all of a sudden? Oh, you're going to stick with the club. You've got no entitlement to stick with the club if you are not seeing anything on the field, which what we haven't. So yeah, I can understand it. So yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, anyway, we're going to get into it now. So the starting lineup. I mean, for me, I thought we was actually going to be setting up in a back five. Actually, it didn't look like that for sure, but it actually wasn't. Now I'm going to be honest here. We're going to go through the lineup first of all, and then I'm going to give my take, and I'm going to get your take on it as well. Obviously, Vaclik was in goal. We actually played a 4-2-3-1 formation in this game. Obviously, Pearson at right back with Lees and Heelick in the middle, with Ruffles on the left. The two holding of Jonathan Hogg, obviously, and Edmonds Green, which we're going to get into in a minute. And of course, Josh Koroma, Jack Radoni in the 10, Ben Jackson on that left-hand side, and Waghorn obviously starting. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie. When I saw that lineup, I was very confused, and to be honest, I didn't like it. And I was very vocal about my discontent of this lineup, which maybe came back to haunt me in the end. But I stick by what I said. I stick by what I said because I don't particularly see. I'll go back to it. I don't particularly see what Waghorn offers in this team. And you saw when he had to come off from injury. He had a little injury, so he had to come off. Obviously during the game, it was actually a blessing in disguise, because we did actually start to play a bit better when he came off. And of course, I did mention Hungbo. I didn't understand why Hungbo wasn't playing in this game.
That's just poor. That decision, Waghorn over Hungbo. That's a poor decision. I don't understand what Warnock's going through. Like he's the oxygen that he's having is something different. Like
yeah,
I'd love to know what goes through his brain when he thinks Hungbo or Waghorn and he puts Waghorn in. I'd love to know what he thinks.
I just don't get it myself. So I make no apologies for when I came out before this game and said, look, I don't particularly agree with this lineup. And of course, it came back to haunt me. Of course that it did. But I stand by what I said because I still expect to see, maybe a lineup that I feel is just worth it. And of course, Hungbo, I'm not sure what he's done to be dropped really completely, especially the last few games. He's not had any games. I mean, what did you make of this lineup? Because I just didn't understand this at all.
I think the thing I was surprised about most is Romari Edmonds Green coming in.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that threw me off. I know he's just come back from loan, but does he really deserve a start just like that? It kind of threw me off, and I thought, oh, it's going to be a long day for us, isn't it? And I just thought you're in for another one.
Yeah, and for me, Edmonds Green is definitely not a wing back, and I did say that Edmonds Green shouldn't have been starting before this game, and I said it because I thought he was going to be playing wing back. He's not a wing back. He can't play wing back, I'm afraid. He hasn't got the pace. He hasn't got the capabilities to do that position. So that's why I was a bit critical of him starting. But again, I go back. He wasn't good enough for Wigan, so why is he good enough for us? I don't understand it really, but obviously throughout this game, we had to sustain a lot of pressure from Millwall. Obviously being the home team, came forward, but defensively, for a change, we were very, very strong.
I thought that.
Yeah, especially with the amount of balls that were coming flying into the area. We actually dealt the likes of Heelick, Brickwall, Heelick, who was winning everything. I'm sorry, but I love that. But I don't know about you, but I love that balance between Heelick and Leeds, because I think Heelick's the one that's more aerially very good, fantastic, and Leeds is one of those defenders that throws his body in front of everything. So it's that nice compliment, isn't it? I mean, what are you making of that partnership between them two? Do you think that that's the best partnership to do going forward?
I mean, despite all the injuries we're having, with the likes of Utah, I think when he comes back, I think him, Lees, and Heelick will be a good backline, and then whoever else Warnock decides to play, or whoever the manager is.
Yeah.
By then, because, but no, I thought it was a good partnership. Heelick did, he had a brilliant game, as did Lees, and I can definitely see why both of them got the awards that they did, as we'll speak about later.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Very, very well deserved to have their efforts and performance recognised. Yeah, recognised. But yeah, for me, we showed a lot better effort levels and fight in this game. Their second balls, battling, getting stuck in. That's what you've got to do. Where's this been the past few games? You can't afford to just turn up when you want to, especially when we're in a situation where we've got to be consistent. Go back to Edmonds Green now. I mean, obviously as the game went, obviously he was playing in that CDM role. Obviously he was the deeper of the two in terms of Hogg was actually getting further forward a bit more than Edmonds Green actually, and this worked a treat. And I think that Warnock has really praise Warnock for this because Edmonds Green's never played that position in his life. I know that for a fact, but actually he played that role very, very well. A good protection to the back line. And yeah, I really liked it. I mean, what did you make of Edmonds Green overall in this game? Because I just think that position could be a position that we could utilise him going forward now for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously seeing the lineup come out, I thought, like it's a bit surprising, but actually
Yeah.
watching him play, he did a lot for us, and I think the position definitely does suit him. I'd like to see him, push forward a bit more, but because obviously we know how good Hogg is in that defensive role when he wants to be and stuff like. If you compare Hogg to some of the games he's had this season, he's been poor, but other games he's been absolutely class, and he's been one of the best players on pitch. But no, Edmonds Green, he put a shift in, he did his job, and he did really well for us. Like,
Yeah, absolutely, and it's good that sometimes when you see players playing not positions they've not played in before, but it actually works. So Warnock working his magic there. So I've got to praise you, Mr. Warnock, there, for sure. But yeah, I don't know if Warnock maybe told Edmonds Green to sit back. I don't know if Warnock told Edmonds Green to be the deeper of the two, or maybe said Hogg. Obviously help Edmonds Green, but obviously you're the one that'll be going a bit further forward when we do have the ball, maybe. So maybe that was the instruction. But I don't know. But yeah, I have to praise Edmonds Green. He's not a wing back. I've said this time, he's not a wing back. But if we utilise him in a better area like this position, then I'm happy to see him in the team, sure. Yeah, and we have to talk about the penalty. I mean, I'm sorry, this was a stonewall penalty, and if the referee cannot see the officials just stand, the linesmen, the lines people do not do anything. I'm afraid they just stand there, and you've got to be getting these decisions right, and especially with the situation we're in, that could have cost us big style. I mean, did you think this was a penalty? Because for me, it looked like a nails stonewall penalty, and for some reason, the referee just ignores it.
yeah, I completely agree. If you can't see that's a penalty, what is a penalty? Like, you explain to me what the definition of a penalty is, because it's just poor officiating. The linesmen, they get paid a good chunk of money to wave a flag around like they're on an airport runway trying to close down a plane. It's just very poor officiating, and it's just horrible to see that everything just keeps going against us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard enough as it is, isn't it? Though it's hard enough as it is. This, and when you're not getting the fair shout of decisions, it's just a joke. We're just going to get back to the comments a moment because I've got a few. Vaxica's got better since he's come in. 2 clean sheets. Yeah, good point. But the game v Bristol City, he did keep us in the match, didn't he, against Bristol? Definitely. So yeah, he does look good. But I will go on to Vaxic in a minute because I do like him. He's made some good saves. That's what that position. I go back to it when people say about keepers, right? They make good saves. That's what they
That's
make.
the job.
That's their job. That's their job. So why are we praising them to making saves? I don't get it. You've got to look at the overall game and look. You only have to look at Nichols. Nichols is a fantastic shot stopper, but also he has his the distribution, he commands his area, he's vocal. He's got all the qualities that you need to be a very top quality keeper. That's what makes him the best. Well. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, Vaclik has obviously kept some clean sheets, which is good to see. Last season, just covered the crack. He did, didn't it, Ramsey? I do agree with Ramsey here. He did cover them cracks that have really come to the fore this season for sure. And yeah, it's really, really sad to see, isn't it? Reg has actually been really good. I mean, yeah, Blue Terry, I do agree, but like I go back to it, I don't particularly like him in the wing back position because he just isn't effective there, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but he isn't. He's not. He gets beat for pace far too much, and he's just not a wing back. You don't. And I think Warnock's I think he's kind of figured that out now. To be honest with you, and I don't think we'll see him at wing back, or however we line up. Obviously the formation. I don't think we'll see him in that position again, actually. But yeah, he's been okay, but. Actually starting to change the actually also where he is a bit, yeah, but yeah, he is, but yeah, he's done what he needs to do, of course, but it is what it is. Next manager is going to be a very interesting person, hoping for Carl Robinson. You want Carl Robinson to come in, Bluetooth? No. You know what? I haven't even thought about the next manager yet. We just need to focus on these. I'm sorry, but I can't think about the next manager yet. We need to just get, let's just get through the season. Let's get through.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, we can't think about. And to be honest with you, like I said, go back to it. Hopefully we've got a lot more new owners coming, obviously, and be able to, and we have the right people on the board. Then I may start to trust. You've got to gain trust, of course, but hopefully then we'll see better decisions being made, and the managerial appointment that's made is going to be a better one than what we've seen in the past. But yeah, fair enough there. Reg, best game for Town. Yeah, very good. But I agree there, Joseph. I do. Best game for us, for sure, in this game. He was fantastic, for sure. I'm sorry, but how was Cooper not sent off for the time? I mean, it was disgusting, wasn't it? It was a disgusting challenge from Cooper on Radone, and the referee, as usual, just ignores it. So, sorry. They've clearly got an agenda against us, and that's for all to see. So, yeah, I agree. It was a definite red card, that.
100%.
You can't legislate for the decisions that are being made against us at the moment. What else have I got on this notes? Yeah, let's talk about the goal then, because I was very impressed by this goal, actually, because look, it all came from the press. The Millwall defender had it. I don't know who had it. I've forgotten his name now. But anyway, the Millwall defender had it. Obviously, Ben Jackson was closing in and really put pressure on him. Then he ended up giving it away. And obviously, Ben Jackson got the ball back. Great strength. Got the ball in. And Ward, great.
It's a good finish, isn't it?
Great finish over the keeper. He kind of shipped it over him, but kind of shangled. I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, it was a very good goal. I'm delighted for Ward, and I do think that goal, we saw it last season, didn't we? When Ward got a goal, he started to perform better and started to get a few more goals after that point last season. I hope that's the same effect to me. What did you make of this goal? Because I think it was a great press and then obviously great balling by Ben Jackson. I really like Ben Jackson, by the way. He's a really talented young man.
Yeah, I think obviously, we've seen what he can do, Ben Jackson, from earlier on in the season and stuff, but I think the pressure and the closing down that he was doing, it was just top class, Like you'd expect that from a Premier League talented player. And it's just good to see them all getting stuck in, especially it was if you're looking at it from an outside perspective, you're like Millwall, that's very poor defending. Very, very poor.
Yeah, it was, but we'll definitely take it. But yeah, I mean, do you see, that now Ward's got that goal? Do you think that'll really help him now? And we do need him to get some goal. We need him to score a few more goals now, of course, to help us now, don't we? So, do you think that will help him to maybe get some more goals now? Or...
I mean, I hope it does, but you just never know. At the end of the day, every game is different. You can't expect the same from every single player, of every single game. Like I know it's obviously we hope we can play like that again, but at the end of the day, depends on the team, depends on where we're playing. It just depends on a lot of things. And I think that if Ward does start to pick up form, it's good because then it will give us more of a fighting chance. But if not, it's just another blow for us, really.
Yeah, I think this goal will only help him, in my opinion. I think it will, get his confidence up a bit, and we saw it last season. So I do think all we can do is hope that he will start scoring goals again for us, because we certainly need it. The lack of goals this season has been is for all to see. I can't remember how many goals I think we've scored about 31 goals this season. It is awful. So yeah, we need Ward to deliver again, and it's not too late. So there's 7 minutes of injury time added. I'm not sure where the officials get these added on minutes from, because I'm sorry, but 7 minutes. I'm sorry, but I don't understand where that came from. But obviously, it felt like forever. We got through it.
Always does feel like forever, doesn't it? Look at the game against Birmingham. What was it, like 10 minutes later, done? It felt like half an hour.
Yeah, and we were just clinging on, and we got there though, and we deserved it for sure. But yeah, again, it seems like the referees are just giving the opponents the best chance to actually score against us when they're adding on that time. But it's. I'm not going to keep blaming the refs, and I don't want to keep doing that. But of course, I just still think we get the fair share of the, fair. I don't know. We don't get the fair decision. We don't get the. We never get a balanced view from referees. It's always towards the opposition. But anyway, yes, obviously we're getting to player ratings in a minute, but just want to touch upon this final points before we do. I mean, to get a win like this is a massive, massive boost for us. For me, it does give us hope again, because to come away with 3 points, in a tricky place to go at that is the Millwall state. It's definitely a tricky place to go. I think that will really boost. But I know we saw the win against Birmingham, and we're thinking to ourselves, this can be the catalyst now to push on. It wasn't meant to be, but I think this result's bigger in a way because it is away from home. Nobody expected it, and I just think this hopefully can be a lift for the players and the fans. I think the fans maybe sense something again. Maybe that'll help going forward. Obviously, being at home after the international break first, so hopefully the fans we can start to back the team maybe and get behind them again. Maybe the deflation still there, but a bit more increased optimism, even if it is a bit of optimism for sure. But obviously the international break now. I don't think I've ever been happy to see an international break, actually, to be honest with you. I haven't, because I usually hate these international breaks, but actually, you know what? We've got to win and go into the international break, and we've had a very hectic schedule like everybody else, but we can rest up now, recover, and get ready for the next game, of course, on April the 1st. I just think this really does help us. I mean, what do you think? I mean, final thoughts for the Millwall game. I mean, obviously, it is a massive win, of course. And what do you make of that? Do you think the international break's come at the right time for us?
It's a tricky one because obviously, the morale of the team is going to go up after a win. And I feel like maybe an international break might be it could either make or break the rest of the season now. I reckon. I hope it makes it, but you know what Huddersfield's like. It usually always goes against us, but we'll just have to see how we perform against Middlesbrough, especially now when Middlesbrough are as well in the table, pushing for the automatic promotion like we were last season. It just all comes down to how much heart and desire they've got.
Yeah, I just think the training ground will be a lot more happier in this international break. And of course, it does give one more time on the field with the lads too, which hopefully helps. And he knows some players better than others, so it gives him a chance to maybe get to know them a bit more as well. So I think it's come at the perfect time for this international break, I'm honest with you. Again, though, my final point before we go into the player ratings, this Millwall game was a fantastic result, but this is just one game. We can't get carried away. For me, I got carried away a bit after the Birmingham game. I thought, we can go on and run now. But of course, it didn't happen. We do really have to use this win to, as a catalyst now to push on, because I do believe that the teams around us, there's going to be one team that's not that's going to go on a big slump from now until then. See, I do believe that. I think there's someone, whether it be Rotherham or Can, I believe that there'll be a team that just can't get any results. So we have to use that to our advantage, and get and get some momentum going, because it's just one of those. But yeah, that's my views on the Millwall game. Fantastic win, fantastic performance, and really happy. And it's certainly giving me some hope here. Not too much, but it's giving me some hope. Especially looking at the table now, it looks a bit better than what it did. But yeah, we're going to get into the player ratings, and of course, I have gone way over time, so we're probably going to go for another 15 minutes. But yeah, I'm just gonna go into the ratings, and yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, any truth for these? To be honest with you, John, I couldn't tell you because the communication has been shocking. So from the club, so the answer to that is I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's happening. But yeah, anyway, when we get to player ratings, so Thomas Vaclik in goal, of course. I think this was one of his busiest games he's had since he's come in, actually. And he was very equal to the challenge, though, mind you. And of course, he did do very well. So for me, I'm going to give him an 8. I think he was solid. I think he did well. And yeah, I was really happy with his performance. What was your rating for Thomas Vaclik?
I'll give him a 7.5. I think he had a top game, for the amount of chances that came against him, and I think he did really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Orest is saying Huddersfield is staying. Orest, I love your positivity. I love it, and I really hope you're right. I hope Cardiff go down personally, because I can't stand that club. So yeah, hopefully they go down. But yeah, hopefully so, mate. But yeah, indeed. We're going to Matty Pearson now, of course. Very solid again, very solid from him. And I think that he really did protect that back line very well at times too. And yeah, I think he was. The thing is, when Pearson's got pressure on him, he seems to struggle a bit, actually. He was rushed on the ball a few times, I noticed. And he didn't really cope with that. But defensively solid. And that's the main thing, isn't it? He's a good defender. So for me, I have to give him an 8 as well. For me, Matty Pearson.
Yeah, I do think Lees and Helik were better than him, like a lot better.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the first half, there was that scare when Pearson was on the ball when he was troubled, and it nearly went against us. But other than that, I do think he was solid, and I've given him a 7.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got Tom Lees. Absolutely fantastic. Tom Lees, he's brilliant. We're so lucky to have him in this team, actually. And I know he's not maybe performed as well as he has done this season, but he has delivered more often than not, to be honest with you. And that last-ditch defending that he came up with in this game, especially, I felt like his first half was such a strong performance. Blocking everything, cutting out a couple of really dangerous crosses too, and making some really important blocks, and really, really solid defending. For me, I have to give him a 9 for that because he was just outstanding.
Yeah, you've covered pretty much everything there.
Yeah.
I was going to say I've given him an 8.5. I think he could have done a few things better, but at the end of the day, solid shift in the back, and it's good to get a clean sheet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the man himself, the brick wall, Mikael Helik. Again, I said it earlier, he was outstanding. Won his battles very well. Aerially, he wins most headed. The things that he had to deal with in the penalty area at times. When the pressure was really on most of the game, he delivered. And for me, I think I'm going to have to give him a strong 9 as well, because I just think that he was very good, and I think he was on par with Lees, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've said the same of what I give Lees an 8.5. did everything he needed to do. He was very good in the air, and he's just he's just a brick wall when he at the back, so you can't go wrong with him.
Yeah, he is. He's fantastic, isn't he? So yeah. Now let's go on to Josh Ruffles. He did play his part in Danny Ward's goal. Obviously, defensively solid as well, as the rest of the back line was too. For me, I have to give him the same as Pearson. I think he was the same level as him actually. So for me, he's an 8 for me rating for me.
Yeah, I think he could have done a bit better.
Yeah.
I think with the Ward goal, it was a good goal, but it could have been played a lot more quicker, if you know what I'm saying. And it's hard with Ruffles because he plays the same pretty much every game, in my opinion. Like he's always he's doing the right stuff, but sometimes it's not always useful with certain clubs, and it's like he's very easy to figure out how he plays. So for that reason, I've said a 6 personally, but I think he could have had better games.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean it's one of those, and I know what you're saying. Maybe when he does play well, you think to yourself, he just needs to do a bit more. He needs to have a bit more of a spark about him. I get what you're saying. I do. I do understand what you're saying. So next up is Jonathan Hogg, of course. Yeah, obviously, initially given that higher pressing brief role than usual. Obviously, he's usually a bit deeper than what he was in this game, but he performed it very well actually. So for me, I have to give him a 7. I think he was solid, but I don't think I can go higher than a 7.
I completely agree with you. I said the 7 as well, so there's nothing much more for me to comment on if I've just agreed completely.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting to the comments in a moment, and I do see your comments. So just let me get through these ratings, and we will come to the comments. So yeah, obviously Edmonds Green next. Yeah, obviously what caught by surprise with playing him in this role, holding midfielder role. And he was tasked, of course, keeping a close eye on Zian Fleming, who is a very good footballer actually for Millwall. And I think definitely had him in his back pocket walking away from that stadium for sure, because he was outstanding. And only let him get away once or twice. He did let him go a few times, but I think we'll let him off for maybe once or twice. But he's pretty good going because he hasn't played in that position, and he did very, very well. For me, he was better than Hogg. I have to give an 8 for Edmund Green. I was very impressed by him actually.
Yeah, I've said 7.5. He did really well in the position that he played in. Obviously, it's not his natural, but I definitely do think that he suits that position more than obviously being a fullback and whatnot. But yeah, 7.5 for me overall. Very good performance.
Absolutely, and it's great to see, of course, him doing well there. And Jack Redoni next. For me, he was pretty relentless, box-to-box midfield outing for me. He was brilliant for me. Carrying the ball very well too in this game, and tracking back a lot as well, even better. His work rate, Jack Redoni, is really good. For me, an 8 for me.
Yeah, I've said a 7. He did his job well. He's a top player with Johnny. I've got a lot of respect for him. He's one of my favourite players at the club. And yeah, he played his part when he was tracking back and stuff, and he did really well. So yeah, 7.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I love him, and he'll only get better. He will only get better, of course.
100%.
And we can get some players around him that can help him a bit more than maybe what others are doing at the moment. Then he's got it. I really do hope that we see him players for years to come for sure. Because I love him too. And yeah, really good player. Josh Karoma next. Like I say, I go back to it. He was very hard done by not to get a penalty in the first half. After going down into that challenge from McNamara, and a good outlet on the counter, and did his part off the ball too, actually, because sometimes Karoma can be a bit lazy, if I'm honest with you, at times.
Yeah,
he does really need to be on it from the in that position, especially he has to be working harder than he sometimes does, and what he's been guilty of doing and walking around the pitch. But he did his job and he did do well. So for me, I have to give him a 7. I don't think it was better than a 7, but for me, a 7.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I've said a 7 as well.
But yeah, Karoma needs to do more.
Yeah,
he's
he
a good
does.
player. He just needs to do more.
He's got a lot about him, and I think as long as he applies himself, when he puts 110% in it week in, week out, then I think he can become a top class player for us.
Yeah. And next up, my best friend, Martin Waghorn, who of course had to come off. And of course, we forgot to mention actually, obviously Martin Waghorn did come off, and obviously Ward came on for him. And I feel like that tweaked the game a bit slightly, even though we hadn't really done it. Obviously, Ward got lucky with a good. Well, he didn't get lucky, but obviously he was there in the right place at the right time. But yeah, I feel like we played a lot better when Waghorn went off, and that's not. I don't have an agenda against Waghorn, by the way, people. Just to let you know, I don't have an agenda. I just say what I see, and I just don't understand what he doesn't offer anything to this side, in my opinion. But yeah, for me. I don't want to be too. I'm going to give him a 4. I don't think he was that great, and he didn't do much. So yeah.
Yeah, I said a 4. He didn't really have a chance to showcase himself. I mean, he doesn't really anyway. Like no discrepancies to him, but I just feel like he's just not. I don't think he's the right fit for this club in the position that he plays in. And I think there's a lot more players like Hungbo, like Ward, like Rhodes who deserve to be in that team more than he does. I think he's better coming on as a sub rather than a starter, in my opinion.
Yeah, he don't put himself about enough, and to be honest with you, he spends so much time complaining, to the referee. And I know it can be frustrating, of course, but it's every time he tries to. But I think he tries to buy a few fouls that aren't necessarily fouls, in my opinion, at times. But yeah, he just has to do his work. He needs to put himself. He needs to jump for the ball for a start as well, because the amount of times I've seen him, he just stands there and expects the ball to be glued to his head for some reason. You've got to jump. He's not the tallest anyway, but you've got to jump. So yeah, anyway. Ben Jackson next. Made some good challenges in and around his own box. And of course, he claimed that fantastic assist for the goal with a great cross across to Danny Ward. For me, I think I have to give him a 7 on that basis. I think he really played well, actually.
Yeah, I've said an 8 personally. I think he had a really good game. I think the assist as well. It was a good spot from Jackson. Obviously, it was a very tight angle. We could have gone to a corner, but it was a very tight angle for him to get it to Ward, and then Ward to put it in the back of the net. It was good for us, and it's just obviously it's the goal that won us the game, and I think an overall 8 performance, very well done to him.
Yeah, fair enough. And I was really, again, the strength he had to, shrug off, obviously, the defender that was trying to push him out of play. Actually did very well to get the ball in.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I followed Ben Jackson actually through. Obviously, I like to go and watch the academy, and obviously I've seen him since he's come to the club. I've always been a really high admirer of him, actually, and of course he has gone out on loan a few times. And he's had his chance. I think he's really taken his chance, and he's only going to get better in his side. So for me, I really like him as well. And obviously Danny Ward, final player to rate, and then obviously we'll conclude this ratings. For me, it was a great finish to claim his first goal since October. Can you believe it? That was his first goal since October.
Wow.
Bear in mind, he has been out injured for a bit, but or supposedly injured. Let's just say, I don't know if he was injured, because miraculously, since Warnock's come back, he's all of a sudden come back into the fold. So think of that what you will, but I'm not going. That's another topic. But for me, a 7 for me. I think he did well, and he had a good solid 45 minutes.
I said a 7.5. He had a very good game. Obviously, scored the goal that won us the game at the end of the day. That's what we need to get 3 points. Can't win a game without scoring a goal, and I think he always puts in a good shift as Danny Ward, and I've got a lot of respect for him. From what he did previously and what he's done now. He's just an overall really good player, and so 7.5 from me.
Yeah, he has to produce though. He has to keep producing this, and he has to keep playing like that because we need goal. We need him to do more. He has looked poor in the last few games prior to Millwall, to be honest with you. He hasn't really done much. So, yeah, obviously, hopefully this can push him up a bit more and get him scoring again. But, yeah, we're going to go into the comments because I missed a few comments anyway. But, obviously, I just want to finish the player ratings. I hope you do appreciate that, people. But, yeah. Aiden says, why doesn't Warnock play Hungbo? I mean, yeah, we've said that. I don't understand why he doesn't play him. He's full of pace. He terrifies defenders that comes up against him, that's for sure. And he offers that real threat up in the attacking third, of course. So I have no idea. I have no idea why he's all of a sudden come out of the fold for the past few years, to be honest. I don't get it. Just one sub, I'm sorry, but you need to be doing more subs than once. I mean, to be honest with you, in this game against Millwall, I know there was only one sub, but I didn't particularly mind that because I don't think that. I think that we obviously when we got the goal, it was just about the players were playing well. I don't think there was a need to make subs because if you look, I don't want to go back to it, but obviously, if you look at the Blackpool game, for example, we were playing well in that game, and then the manager Fotheringham decides to change it, and it completely goes kaput. It goes out. Don't change something that you think is working. Of course, I agree with this statement in terms of previous games. Don't get me wrong. In terms of the lack of substitutions at times is a bit strange to me, especially in these last few games prior to Millwall, because we've kind of needed something from the bench to kind of help us. But Warnock hasn't seemed to do that much. So, but for this game, I think he got it spot on. I don't think he needed to make any subs. I do agree with him on that point, but he has to be doing better with his substitutions and making the ones needed. But very valid point there. Hungbo, he has to play. That's just my opinion. He's a great player. It's right. They do watch long for it. I mean, I was thinking about doing a watch long for Thursday's match, but I don't. I mean, I could do. Leave it with me. It was actually in the back of my mind, so now you've actually said it, encouraging me a bit more to maybe do it.
It could bring in more. It could bring in more viewership for you as well. It might be able to boost your platform more further. I
know that Dan from Turf House Mill TV, he said his watch-alongs do very good, and actually gets him quite a few time he does one. So, and I don't mind doing watch-alongs either, So, Aiden,
they are fun to do. I've been in one before, and they are quite fun to do.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that we potentially may do one on Thursday, for the England-Italy match. Your request has been accepted for sure, Aiden. So, we'll leave it with me. I think I'll potentially do it now because I was thinking about it. Obviously, you've said it now, so it gives me I think I will. Hoggy. Yeah, we love that chant. Yeah. I forgot Zian Fleming even. I mean, full credit to Edmonds Green for nullifying that threat from Fleming's. But from Fleming's, I can't think of the word. I think threat, the threat that he carries. He must have been looking for his towel. I love it. Yeah, he must have been, mustn't he? I love that. We've kind of covered Danny Ward, of course, as a centre. He has to be doing a lot more, of course, as a centre forward. Hopefully that goal will really help him. That's kind of the game. We have to mention this, of course. We said we would mention it. Obviously, the EFL named their team of the weekend, which included Tom Lees in defence and Neil Warnock as the best bosses as well. Also, I saw in the Football League paper that they do that kind of, team of the days kind of things too. In there too. Healich and Neil Warnock, of course, both got accolades for the weekend too. So, I mean, I've got to say, I go back to it. Tom Lee's unbelievable and Healich was fantastic. So I think it's nice that these players are being recognised. And I do think that Warnock, for all the... I stand by what I said with the start. I didn't really understand the lineup, and of course, it did work, and it made me look like a fool because obviously I didn't was vocal on my socials. But it is what it is. I go back. I do want to see Humbo starting. I'm just saying, but and a few others in terms of Waghorn for me shouldn't be started, as we know. But yeah, obviously, what did you make of this, Ben? I mean, it was great to see these players being recognised, and of course, Neil Warnock as well being recognised for actually, in the end, he got it spot on Saturday, definitely.
Yeah, I think very well deserved from both points. As we spoke about it before the stream, I argued that Leeds had a better game, but thinking
Yeah,
about it now, I think they both had both equally. They both deserve to be in both teams. Obviously, well, it's credit to both of them to get both of them, and obviously Warnock getting manager of the weekend and stuff. It's just it's good to see us getting some recognition finally after being in a struggle that we've been in.
yeah, absolutely. So well done to all of those for sure. Fantastic to see. And yeah, fantastic stream. Nice to see you back on the channel again, Ryan. Thank you very much, Matthew. Big up to you. And what's the situation with knockout? I think one can. I mean, this is a good point, isn't it? Because we will go on to the knockouts now. Conclude the show in a minute. We've got a few more points to do, but we are wrapping up in the next 5-10 minutes. I mean, it's a strange one, isn't it, Ben? Because we've seen knockout has come in. We did see a bit of him, and now he's just gone missing again. And I'm sorry, we need at this situation we need players to be available, and Knockout has not been available. And of course, I did hear that rumor about Warnock and Knockout have had a fallout. I mean, what is your? Do you think that that's true? And also, we've got to agree on this one that Knockout, for all his potential, we just haven't seen him, so he's just no good.
No, I totally agree with that, but I think it was like Fotheringham and Russell.
Yeah.
With their falling out, and obviously we all know how that ended with Russell going to Barnsley. All best wishes to him. He was good for us in last seasons, and in certain games this year as well when he's played. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? You can't get along with everyone, and I think it's maybe it's the way Warnock plays. Maybe Knockout doesn't like it and stuff, and it's just not sat well with him. So you just never know, do you? It's football at the end of the day, so it's hectic as it is. The emotions are behind the training ground and dressing room and stuff. So with the position that we're in, so it's at the end of the day they've just got to get down, put all the drama aside, and just crack on and focus on what's at hand mainly, and get us out of this relegation zone and keep us in the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, of course we don't, so we can't really comment. But Warnock has been known, if you don't do what is asked, then you're not playing. Simple as that. And if Knockout, of course, doesn't like that, then I'm afraid it is what it is. You can't, but if I don't know, but it is one of those. It's well, hopefully we see him, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. I don't think we will see him now. I don't think we'll see any more of him from now until the season. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't think we will. We haven't seen him for ages now. But yeah, of course, it was announced today, obviously, that Wigan have been deducted those 3 points due to failing to pay player salaries in March. Of course, the EFL statement did come out just before 5 o'clock today. And that kind of helps us in a way, of course, because, now there's a bit of a cushion between them and us, and it's one less team to. I think now they've had. I know it's only 3 points deduction, but I think that 3 points is massive, really, in the grand scheme of things, of the situation with the teams down there. So I feel like we are in a battle now with Blackpool to stay up. I mean, what do you think? How do you see? Obviously, they've been deducted 3 points. Do you see that the same outlook as me, or do you think they're still going to be potentially able to get out of it? Because I just think that with the 3 points, I think they will actually struggle now.
I mean, it's a sticky one. This can either make or break a team. At the end of the day, really, it's like what happened with Reading and Derby. Derby, it made them work harder, even though they got relegated. It's still they made them push, Reading, Reading on the other hand, like they fought well, but they could have done a bit more to at least give their chances better. So I don't know. You can't tell in these situations until you see the next game, and obviously with the international break, I'm sure they'll have a lot to think about with like who they've got in the next few games and stuff. The exact same with us, and the exact same with Blackpool and
Yeah,
Cardiff and Rotherham and teams that are lurking around the zone that we're in.
yeah, absolutely. So I think that the points deduction has been added on now. So we just got to look at the table briefly now. So Wigan are bottom with 31 points. I believe that's with a 3 points deduction, because I think they were on 34.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
So yeah, the deduction has been taken off quite quickly. So, and of course their goal difference is minus 26. So that knocks another point off because, sorry, that goal difference is terrible compared to the others around. Obviously Blackpool 23rd, 35 points, minus 18. And of course we do have the worst goal difference than Blackpool. But we've obviously, we've got 36 points, minus 21. And yeah, I've got to touch on this. Obviously, this really played into our hands as well, by the way. Obviously, the Rotherham Cardiff game got abandoned now. I actually think this really plays into our hands very nicely, actually, because, the game will have to be replayed, of course, but they've got an extra game that particularly they don't particularly want. So that's kind of worked well for us, doesn't it? I mean, how do you see that? Because, I just think it gives us a bit of an advantage as well now.
I'm not gonna lie. When I seen it got abandoned, I'm like, what? How can a game get abandoned? And then I seen it on Sky Sports. It was like the weather was. I was laughing so hard because how can you have a pitch that wet and like the ball just wasn't bouncing? That what made me laugh the most. The ball just didn't bounce. It was just like. But
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
but no, I do think it gives them as an advantage. They've got to play a game which is like, oh, that could make or break their seasons as well as ours. But no, I think it does give us an advantage, and I think if the players have looked at it and be like, oh, that could work in our favour, if them too, because obviously we know Cardiff were gonna win that game. There was one,
Yeah.
there was 1-0 up in the whatever minute it was when the game got called off in the 90th minute or whatnot. But yeah,
Yeah, it was 48th minute. It was called, and of course there is conspiracies about Rotherham. Of course, did they try and call the game off because they were losing? But I don't necessarily know if that's true. But of course, they were apparently they were watering the pitch as well, even though it was raining. So it was very strange. So I don't know, but anyway, I don't really care. It has worked well, and of course, Cardiff. Obviously, they have played a game less than us, but they are on 39 points, minus 13. And obviously Rotherham, 40 points, minus 10. So look, if we can just keep between that gap, keep closing that gap, and be in touching distance, then I just think that we can still we're still in the mix. We just got to keep being in the mix and keep getting points, and hopefully the other teams drop points as well. But so after the final question before we wrap up, obviously, now we've got this result. The table, looked at the table then. How are you feeling now about this in terms of how we can? Do you think that we has it given you a bit of more of an optimism kind of outlook of it? Do you think that we can get out of this? And I do believe, I'm not getting carried away, but after the result of the weekend, and obviously it's only one result, of course, but the boost it can bring us, and of course, the fact that we needed this result so badly and we got it, it gets us back in the mix again as well. And I just feel like the Great Escape could potentially happen, especially with Mr. Warnock in charge.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Really, you just never know. Championship, in my opinion, is the best league in the world, and it's the hardest league in the world. Anyone can win, anyone can lose. Anyone can go up, anyone can go down. It's just one of those situations. Really, it's hard to call. I hope we stay up. I really do. But it depends how the players turn up after international break, really, and it depends how much they want to give and how much the effect of Warnock still being here and with his ways, if it actually does work, and let's just hope his magic can work. That's what we're praying for now, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, we have to. I mean, do you see a particular points, Tyler, that will keep us up? Then have you kind of pictured something in your mind about how many points will it take it to stay up? And how many points will it take?
I think it'll come down to the last 2 games of the season, last 2-3 games of the season, I reckon. Because
Yeah,
we've still got to play Cardiff away. We've still got that
yeah,
game to play. Yeah, I think it goes Cardiff, Sheffield, because that have just been postponed, and then Reading. Is it the last game?
yeah. Reading, yeah,
I,
yeah,
I believe that's the last 3.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it really does plan out to be them games, or especially the Cardiff game. That is a big must win.
Yeah, we
But
need a couple of wins and a couple of draws, I think, and potentially that would do it. If
I
you look
wouldn't
at
even
our
say
fixtures,
draws.
though, there is still winnable games in that fixture list that we've got. Because if you look at the likes of, I think we've got Swansea, Cardiff, obviously a big one. Who
Reading.
else have we got? Reading. Reading's another winnable one, of course. And then you throw into the mix Sunderland, who are, of course, I know they've done well. Of course, it will be tricky away from home. We've got Blackburn. Blackburn are a tricky one because they're up there again, but I don't know how they're up there because they haven't really impressed me. You don't really know what you're going to get with them, and of course that is at home, that game. We do go to Watford. Middlesbrough, obviously the game first up after the international break. I don't particularly feel like anybody's invincible in this league, so I don't know how many. Look, if I look
The
at
only
the
thing that's
points,
confirmed. The only thing that's confirmed in the league is Burnley winning it. That's the only thing that's confirmed
yeah,
so
yeah.
far. I think that's the only thing that's definitely going to happen in the league this year. And it's the fixture list, like Warnock said, you must be an idiot to take the job, and he's that idiot. So obviously, it's a good run of fixtures, but it's also a bad run of fixtures. It's good because it's exciting games, but it's bad because of the challenges we've got to come up against.
Yeah, I just hope these players really do start to perform again and actually give it their all instead of just running through the motions like we've seen plenty of occasions. They have to do. Hopefully, this has given them a real kick to say, you know what, that game on Saturday, that is what you can produce when you put in a performance like that, and that is what the benchmark should be, and we just have to keep going. I won't put it past us getting points against Middlesbrough, to be honest. I mean, this league is just crazy. I'm sorry, but it is. And of course, we are at home. And I think that the crowd may react a bit to, obviously, the Millwall. But I think the crowd will maybe have a bit more of a buzz, not buzz, but a bit more of an uptake after this result, of course. And hopefully we can. But so, look, Reading. 3 points for me, Reading. We have to be picking up 3 points there, Reading. Cardiff, I think Cardiff we can pick up 3 points. Swansea, who are awful. Again, another team that are running through the motions. They're not really playing for anything. Not going down, but they're not going up either. 9 points there. Blackburn at home. I know they're up there, but again, I go back to it. I don't think they've impressed me that much. So
Millwall are up there.
Yeah, Millwall are up there. That's the thing.
I believe are they still 6th or did they go to 7th? Millwall.
Millwall.
Because I know they were. Yeah, cause I was going to say that they were 6th before we played them, and obviously beating them. That's a huge result. Beating a team in the playoffs. That's huge. That's really huge result.
And Blackburn are 5th with 61 points. But yeah, I mean, there's a few. I just think we can at least get 9 points. 9 points. Yeah, 9 points. I see 9 points at least there, and that's just at least. And of course, the other games, I don't know. I don't want to get too carried away, but we'll just have to see. But I'm just kind of looking at the table and see how many points will it take to stay up. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe it'll be between 46 and 50, but I don't know. I don't know how. You're 46 and 50, I think. It'll be between that bracket, and I can't pinpoint it. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, we'll just have to see. Aiden said the Great Escape is on. I repeat. I mean, yeah, I don't want to get too carried away, but you know, it has given me a bit of hope again, because I had lost all hope before this game. So I just wanted the season to end, but now we've got this result. It has sparked me up a bit, and I do think that we have to use this result to go to yeah, we just have to give it a good go. Yeah, I don't mind losing, you know, but if we don't give it a good go, that's when I have issues. And you know, that's it. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up now anyway. Joyce says, I hope it doesn't go. I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't see it. I mean, if it goes down to the last game, I'm gonna be in a state. I just can't cope. I just won't be able to cope.
I'll be stressing so much. I don't even know if I want to go to that Reading game if it goes down to that. I'll be so nervous during the whole thing.
I mean,
We'll
let's
score,
hope it doesn't.
I'll be nervous. If we don't score, I'll be nervous. They score, I'll be even more nervous. It's one of those
Let's
ones,
hope.
really, isn't it?
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't get to that stage. But yeah, like I say, I think we're all hoping it doesn't go down to the last game, but it'll be very tight, of course. Let's just see how we go. But of course, I'm very happy with this win, and we're going to finish on straight on back of a win, and I think we can build on that now. And I've got to be positive. We can build on it, and we'll just see what happens. But we are not done yet. You know, everyone, right? We are not done yet. Just a reminder, that result on Saturday probably, well, it did. It sparked a lot of conversation. You know, Huddersfield picking up a win against Millwall. You know, rise off, and we deliver. So yeah. But yeah, obviously it's been great to be back. Of course, it's been a good show. Again, I've gone over by over 36 minutes actually, and it is what it is. But we had a lot to cover in this episode, to be fair. So, and you know, it's one of those. But yeah, thank you to you, Ben, for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on. You've been fantastic as always.
That's fine. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to hop on, and I'm always down to come on.
Where can people find you?
On Instagram, it's Cooks_official, and then on TikTok, it's BenCook1593. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so go and give a follow to Ben, of course, and great guest, and I really appreciate you coming on here today, definitely. But yeah, and also I have to make a special mention to everybody in the chat. Literally, thank you for all your lovely messages and your contributions throughout the show, of course. Been quite overwhelming to be back, and of course, great comments, and yeah, it's been fantastic. It's good to be back, and yeah. So yeah, I think I will be back on Thursday for a watch along to the England game. I think I will do that actually. So yeah, obviously tune in for that. Probably go live about 15 minutes before kickoff and go through the lineups and have my thoughts on that. But good to do something different on the channel. I've done watch alongs before; they're quite fun to do. Yeah, so yeah, be back then. Like I say, if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe if you're new, and if you're watching it on playback, comment your thoughts down below on what you thought about the result and anything that's discussed in this video. We haven't talked about the ownership actually, but I'm not going to go into the ownership at the moment. It's all up in the air. I don't really want to do that. What I will say is, I think that guy from what is he? He's from Holland. I've forgotten the club that AZ Alkmaar. Rennie Nielsen, I think his name. Yeah, Rennie Nielsen. I'm just going to say he's the guy, I believe, to take us forward. But we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, thanks all for coming in. And yeah, it's great to be back. And I'll take care. I'll see you on Thursday. And yeah, big up to you all for coming in. And have a good rest of the week. And I'll see you on Thursday. Good night, everyone. Have a good rest of the week.